quietly he creeps to the window and peeks inside. He sees a hideous monster spreading out a sheet of human skin on the bed. Okay, I hope this works. And like, hey, I'm Ziola. Welcome to my channel. This is my very first video, so thank you for checking it out. I was born and raised in Beijing, China, and moved to the US in high school. So I grew up with a mix of culture and stories. So I wanted to share some of the famous stories I had grown up with. Some of the stories I will be sharing over here could be a little spooky, but don't worry, I'll tell them in a way that makes you enjoy the story without the nightmare. Today's story is about a young student around college age, but back in the old days, people often get married early, so he's already got a wife at this age. In the book, we only know that he's from Taiyuan, in case you wonder where it is. And his last name is Wang, a pretty common surname in China. His wife's maiden name is Chen, so we'll refer to them with their last names. Alright, now that we got our characters, let's jump into the story. Our story begins on a pretty normal morning. Wang's just strolling down the street when all of a sudden a young lady bumps into him. She's gorgeous, but what really stands out is how worried and sad she looks. Right away, Wang's like, okay, something's wrong with her. So he stops and asks, hey, are you okay? Do you need help? Now, the book never gives her a name, so let's call her Jen. And hey, if you drop your nickname or first name in the comments, I might use it for a character in the future. Anyway, Jen sighs and says, you know, sir, life has been really hard for me. So according to her, she's the second wife of a rich guy in town. And his first wife is just awful, calling her names, hitting her with a stick, all kinds of nasty stuff. At least that's what she tells Wang. A quick side note, back in ancient China, a man could have one main wife and several concubines. People often refer to them as second wives. But really, concubines have much lower status, closer to a servant whose main role was to have children. Anyway, let's continue. Wang asks, do you have anywhere to go? Of course she doesn't. So he's like, why don't you come home with me? If Wang would have known what she is, he wouldn't even say a word that he had spoken. So Wang brings Jen back and lets her stay at his study room. Jen makes him promise not to let anyone know that she's here. But of course, secret doesn't stay secret for long. Wang's wife, Chen, eventually finds out. She gets nervous. After all, messing with a wealthy family in the city could mean serious trouble. She tells Wang to send this girl away. And as you probably guessed it, Wang had developed an affair with Jen, and he refused to send this girl away. A few days later, Wang goes out to the market and runs into a Taoist priest. The moment the priest sees him, he looks completely shocked and asks, have you met someone unusual lately? Wang shakes his head. He was like, no, not at all. The priest frowned and says, your whole body is wrapped in evil energy. How can you say no? Wang insists that nothing had happened, but the priest just sighs. Because you just can't wake up someone who's just pretending to sleep. Wang argued with himself. Come on, the priest must be lying and probably just want to make money off of me. The girl is pretty, she's smart. There's no way that she can be a monster, right? When he gets back home and reaches his study, he noticed the main door is locked from the inside. That's odd. And quietly he creeps to the window and peeks inside. and almost stopped breathing. He sees a hideous monster with a face tinted green and razor-sharp teeth. She's spreading out a sheet of human skin on the bed and painting it with colored ink. When the monster finishes, she drops the brush and shakes the skin and puts it on like a piece of clothing. For an instant, she transformed into the beautiful woman Wang had thought he knew. Wang got super scared and ran out of the door. He tries to look for the priest and found him outside of the town. He explained to the priest of what happened. The priest nods calmly. He's like, all right, I'll drive it away. But this creature has worked diligently to try to be a human. And it has caused no harm yet, so I'd rather not destroy it if I don't have to. He hands Wang a dust-like whisk and tells him to hang this on his door. Back at home, Wang is too scared to even go into his study, so he sleeps in the inner room with Chen, hanging the whisk on the door. Late at night, he hears the scratching sound outside. Too afraid to look, he sends Chen. She peeks out and sees Jin. She was furious. Only at this moment did the Wang family found out that Jin had set her eyes on something much more precious than just having a place to stay. But it was too late. Everything happened too fast. When Chen finally realizes what happened to her husband, he is already dead with his heart eaten by Jin, the monster. With a grieving heart, Chen sends Wang's younger brother, let's just call him Andy, to find the Taoist priest the next morning. When the priest hears what happened, he's angry and heartbroken. He had wanted to spare the creature because he knows how hard it was for it to take human form. But now that it's hurting people, he has no choice but to end it. And honestly, this priest is actually pretty kind-hearted. At least he thought about sparing the monster's life. In most Liaozhai story, the priest or monks are very rigid. They don't even care about a spirit's character at all. If it's a monster, they'd kill it. You'll see more of that in later stories. The priest and Andy rushes back, but Jin is nowhere to be seen. The priest scans the courtyard and told Andy that she's in his house. Andy was like, no way! The priest asked, did you see someone strange show up this morning? Andy runs home and checked. When he came back, he's like, yeah. An old lady came looking for work this morning. My wife lets her stay. That's her, says the priest. They all head over to Andy's place. As soon as the priest steps into the yard with his wooden sword, the woman panics and tries to run away. He strikes her and the human skin splits open, drops into the ground. The monster shows its real form, howling like a pig, until the priest cuts off its head. The body turns into smoke. What's left on the ground is just empty skin. Eyebrows, eyes, arms, feet, all still there. The priest rolls up the skin like a scroll and then puts it in his bag and walks off. But the story doesn't end there. The monster was gone, but Wang was still dead. The next morning, Chen went to find the priest again, begging the priest to bring her husband back. The priest looks at her and shook his head. I can't bring back the dead. I don't have that kind of power. But I think I know someone who can. It's the beggar at the marketplace. But please don't be offended if he makes you do something weird. So Chen headed to the market. There, she found a filthy beggar wandering around, looking really nasty. Chen went up to him and asked for help. The beggar just laughed, Why bother bringing your husband back? Anyone could be your man. What do you think I am, huh? The king of the underworld? Oh, and heads up, the next part of the story is a little gross, but it's an important part of the story. So if you're eating, you might want to finish your food and then come back to the video. So the beggar suddenly spat a thick wad of phlegm into his hand and pushed it to Chen and wants her to eat it. She was like, ew! But she remembered what the priest said. So she was like, okay, I hope this works. And like, and after that, the beggar just vanished. Chen searched everywhere, but in the end, she had no choice but to head home. Back at home, Chen was devastated, mourning Wang's brutal death and ashamed of what she had swallowed. She had to force herself to clean Wang's body since no one would help her. As she arranges his body, she suddenly feels a hard lump in her chest. She gags, and it bursts out from her throat, falling right into Wang's chest. Surprisingly, it's a human heart. And it starts beating the moment it lands. Chen holds Wang's chest shut and wraps it with silk. His body starts to warm, little wisps of streams rising from the wound, and by midnight, he's breathing again. And by the dawn, Wang opened his eyes, groggy, like he just woke up from a long dream. And within a few days, the wounds are gone, leaving only a small scar. Wang is alive again. This is one of the most well-known tales in China, called Huapi, which translates to painted skin. There are lots of movie and TV adaptations, so if you're curious, you can look them up. The story also became so famous that it works its way into people's everyday talk. For example, when someone's pretending to be something that they're not, people might say they're just putting on the human skin. In Chinese cosplay culture, dressing up in costume is sometimes described as putting on the skin, while showing up without makeup or costume is like coming without the skin. Even in my own life, when I started to messing around with all the makeup back in elementary school, my dad would joke that I was putting on a painted skin. He would be like, 你跟这儿画皮呢? So honestly, when I first heard the story from my grandma, I just thought the story was weird and scary. Monsters, human skin, Wang's heart being eaten, all that good stuff. I mean, my grandmother really had fun scaring me. But as I grew older and saw more of life, my friends going through breakups, getting hurt by gossip, I began to see what painted skin really is about. When a relationship gets stirred by a third person, it often feels excited or even right at first. Little by little, those with bad intentions can drag us into a place they never imagined, sometimes with no way back. And usually, it's the ones who truly love us ended up paying the price for our foolishness. Just like Chen in the story, she lost her husband, suffered humiliation, and even had to go through something disgusting, all just to save him. I don't know how old you are watching this, but maybe some of you might have similar experiences. I hope that when troubles come, you'll always have a wise friend to guide you and a heart willing to listen. I'm Ziola. Hi there, Ziola here. Do you ever find yourself missing those childhood stories as a teen or young adult? Some of them felt very scary when you first heard them, and some seemed pretty strange once you look back on them later. Before I moved to the US, I was already super familiar with Greek mythology, Bible stories, and a lot of classic Western fairy tales. But after I got here, I realized that most people around me had never even heard about the old myths or the stories of China. Some of my friends might know a bit about Japanese tales because of the anime they're watching, but Chinese tales, almost no one. That's why I'm starting this channel, to share some of the amazing stories I had grown up with. Some were told to me by my grandmother, and other came from this classic book Liaozhai, which literally translates to tales told at the dinner table. Anyway, I hope you enjoy these stories. Drop a comment to let me know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe. I'm Ziola. See you next time.